All right, welcome back everybody. This is part 2 of my farewell to Chia video, and on this part we're going to be looking more at the sale of the pre-farm and what I think that means legally. And disclaimer, none of this is legal advice. This is just my opinion on the current state of things. The law, just in general as a whole, is very can be argued both ways for most things, and that's why we have lawyers. You got an opinion on every side of everything, right? So this is just one side, my take. I'm not an expert in securities law. I'm a California lawyer that primarily does workers' compensation cases representing injured workers, but I passed the California State Bar exam. I have a general knowledge of things legal. And just due to personal interest, of course, I've read as much as I can on this topic of digital assets, securities regulations, why we have them, and the big picture. So let's start with before there was ever a pre-farm sale, what Chia's message was about XCH and how it's not a security because it fails the Howey test, step 1. And for any listeners not familiar with Howey test, this is an old United States Supreme Court case. I think it was from the 1940s, so of course way before computers, that discussed what makes something a security or not. And there was steps to the Howey test. And step 1 was basically just looking at is there a sale of something by someone? And if we open up a tweet from Gene here, May of 2023, Kevin asks on the Chia Discord, does selling crypto from a dev fund mean it passes the Howey test? And pausing right there, when you pass the Howey test, what that means is you are a security, or that thing you're selling is a security. And it has to be registered as a security, and it's regulated as a security, which is the opposite than a commodity. Okay, so if you fail the Howey test, you're not a security. Whatever you're selling is a commodity, like gold. All right, and then his answer is, so question again, does selling it mean it passes the Howey test, meaning it's a security? Gene says most likely the developer got money to spend from selling coins, and that's the prototypical Howey step 1. So there's multiple steps to Howey. Since Chia Network has now sold the pre-farm, they fumbled step 1 there. So further analysis needed if it's a security or not after step 1, but that one's out the window now. And not to beat a dead horse, but here's another tweet on the same topic. June of 2023, Gene said, the test is the Howey test and we fail at step 1. Again, they failed at step 1 at that time because they had not sold any XCH. It's no longer the case. More dead horse beating. June of 2023, Gene said, our view has always been that as a policy matter, once registered and reporting, there really isn't something else the SEC can ask of us. The rest are very minor administrative details. We strongly believe XCH is a commodity today based on a very clear reading of the Howey test. AKA, we don't have to quibble about anything in the Howey test. We just fail it, which is what you want if you want commodity status. Again, all that before the first pre-farm sale. Now, something changed at some point in time, right? There was a big layoff announcement that came first. And this layoff announcement came in October of 2023, where they were eliminating 26 positions at Chia Network. And yeah, some really great people were lost. John Michael Hands was laid off at that time. I thought that was a huge bummer. I viewed him as the plot god, which he is, the hard drive master. A lot of great people were laid off at that time, and that was actually the beginning of the end for me. In October of 2023, when I found out about these layoffs, I panicked. Um, I earned the nickname Wet Toilet Paper Hands at that time because my panic led me to sell all of my chia that I had farmed for years. I had farmed over 3,000 chia at least. And I thought the rest of the market would panic too when they heard about what looked like insolvency or economic problems within Chia Network. I sold it. I dumped it all, and the price was, I thought it was going to dump quicker than it did. It did dump, but I was watching it decline from the 30s down into the 20s, and I pulled that trigger around $24, I believe, was my average sell when I dumped it all, right at the layoff announcement. And that was even before what we found out later. So let's fast forward then 2 months later to December 7th of 2023, after the layoffs had happened by a couple of months, almost 2 months and a week. In October, we gave a loan to the first market maker in the Chio ecosystem and added some XCH to a hot wallet maintained by them. Today, we'll be sending more XCH to both. So if anyone knows what that means, leave a comment below. I don't know what it means sending XCH to both what, the market maker and this other hot wallet. I'm assuming that's what that meant, but this was the first type of announcement where we saw that there was going to be some movement of the pre-farm before IPO. There was no IPO. There still is no IPO today. And people had a lot of questions. One, who is the market maker? We still don't know. How much are you sending? They didn't publish it in this announcement. They said use the pre-farm auditing guide to follow the transactions. I got in quite a tiff with Gene and others in the Chia Discord around this time, where I said, I think that you guys should just publish how much. Why are you publishing a tool so that we have to do the work of what you could easily type out? Type out 10,000, type out 100,000. Just put it in the announcement. Otherwise, it looks like you're hiding it. And there was a lot of back and forth on that, and it was getting really frustrating to me, not understanding why there was not more transparency, why they wouldn't just say it. How much are you guys moving? Now, as to who is the market maker and them not telling us, that I can more understand, because there's probably a contract in place, probably a non-disclosure agreement in place. These are sensitive business details that they probably don't want competition to know about. There's just a lot of reasons why you would want to secure that information and not, make it public. So I get that part at least. I did not understand why they were obfuscating the actual amount of pre-farm being moved. It really bothered me. And this was in December of 2023. Other people have heard me say this, but this is so much like the unraveling of an entire worldview or a religion. Like if you grew up in a certain religion and then later you start to have doubts and you start to unpack those doubts, it's like you're unraveling your entire sweater and everything just kind of starts falling apart. And for me, it felt like that's what was happening starting right here, where I'm like, this is like a loose string on my sweater. I'm going to start pulling on it because it doesn't make sense and it's very frustrating. But as I kept pulling on that thread, I became not a believer anymore. And that's a painful thing to have happen, to have believed in something so, strongly and with such conviction and so much time and effort behind these beliefs. To have it come unraveled is hard and painful. So then, okay, we find out later it was 100,000 that was loaned to the market maker in the first move. Later, there's some more announcements that come out shortly thereafter. More is being moved from the pre-farm. And now we know, you can look at Slowest Time Lords publications about the timeline of events, but it's about every month they're moving 50,000 Chia to the market maker, and we'll see what Gene says about what that is. Is it a loan or are they selling it? So let's see. Let's go to number 10 here of Gene explaining on Twitter Discord, or on the Discord for the Chia Discord. February 2024, Hungry Hippos asked, but last time this was done as a single amount, left the pre-farm, and it wasn't clear how much was sold versus lent to the market maker. Gene said another way, the other transfer didn't hurt, and now business as usual, so what's the valid versus fear-based concern? Hungry Hippos. And you couldn't say what the split was. So all we see is one number going out, presumably two different purposes. That would be lending versus selling. Gene's response, what part of we're not going to give a specific accounting but just aggregate is hard to understand? Hungry Hippos, verifiable on blockchain, then it is not. Only that sum left. In other words, I think he's saying you can't verify on the blockchain what's what. We only know that coins left the pre-farm. And this is the most clutch statement of why I saved this one, is because there's so much misinformation out there. People continually said that Chia is not selling, they're not selling, they're not selling. This is proof that they're wrong. Gene says, we have certainly sold and will sell less than the total transferred, but assume all of it. It doesn't change the analysis that we've been selling and the market doesn't actually see an impact. This is big. This is going to be a focus of a lot of what I'm talking about. There's a theme now that's being repeated over and over and over again, that Chia network selling 50,000 Chia per month out of the pre-farm is not doing anything to the market, that the market is not seeing an impact. Let's look at another example of that, of the same theme, the same message being repeated. Right here on June 3rd, 2024, Gene says, my core point is it's very hard to say XCH sales by CNI have any real impact either way. Certainly there is some marginal impact, but if you think about the real daily volume, it's hard to affect a 4 million daily market with the very small daily size involved. Basically throw HTX out the volume and you've got a pretty solid real volume estimate. So his metric here in saying that selling 50,000 Chia per month is no big deal is zooming in on the volume of trading that's happening day to day of XCH. Trading of XCH is done by humans with a real desire to transact XCH, and it's done by bots. And I'm willing to step out on a limb and speculate that the vast majority of volume of trades of Chia are being done by bots. If someone can prove me wrong, show me. But I'm not going to be thinking of it in those terms about total volume of XCH trades. I'm looking at it from an emissions schedule and from an economic perspective of dilution. So if the natural farming rewards of farmers working to earn Chia XCH every month, if that's 144,000 coins per month, and then we have the magical pre-farm money entering the same circulating supply, just focusing in on that month of 50,000 coins. Again, there's going to be so many people arguing in the comments, well, you got to look at the entire time. We sold almost 3 years worth. We printed 3 years worth of coins fairly for farmers. And now we just started 6 months ago. We started doing only 50,000 a month, which is nothing compared to the total. I'm not buying that. I'm not buying that. I'm zooming in on the last 6 months of when these sales started and trying to look at correlation and causation. I wish that we could have an economic expert weigh in on this. I'm not one. I'm just an average Joe with common sense. I know that when you introduce a more of a thing to the supply, it's going to drive down the price of that thing unless the demand equally or greater increases. And did we see an equal or greater increase in the desire to buy chia? Has it gotten easier to buy it? Is there more demand for it? Who is even buying it? I think it's retail degens. People who are speculating and hoping to win in the crypto casino, to gamble on it, to hope that this is just a weird fluke, that coin price keeps going down, down, down to the all-time low of $17 in July of 24, and it's just going to rocket back up. In May of 24, Gene said, "Stop the FUD." That's fear, uncertainty, doubt. Chia's sales of XCH are not material. It's the same theme. It's not material, doesn't make a difference. October of 23. Gene said, "No, what I can say is the worry that we would stupidly impact price reflects more on the worrier. You all did plenty of that for yourselves already." Look at all the laugh emojis he got on that. 5 and one pain. I was probably the one pain. I don't know if I expressed it. But these worriers, in my opinion, are valid. These concerns are valid. And they're common sense. Same theme. Another post. June 3rd, 24, sales of XCH by CNI are not revenue, but instead are, quote, other income, end quote. The very limited size of those sales has had no impact on the market price when you take the 6+ month view. The market maker is market neutral otherwise and is just keeping a core set of exchanges in price parity. This you can really nitpick to death, but first of all, why the characterization of the sales of the pre-farm as not being revenue? It's just other income. I don't know if that's like an SEC trick there, or an accounting trick, or a tax trick. I don't know what that is, but it seems like wordplay to me. Second piece is he's repeating the theme. This is just a very limited sale with no impact. That's a conclusion. The evidence doesn't seem to point to that conclusion. And then finally, look at the 6+ month view. It's not even none of this is relevant until I suppose you could take the macro view, look at the whole price chart, which is terrible. Let's open that up again. There's the macro view, all-time price chart. Here's a 1 month chart. I'm sorry, a 1 year chart. And I have it juxtaposed to the Bitcoin chart. If you look at the last 6 months, we're going back to around here, January of 2024. Chia had peaked, or hit a peak at that point, dipped, and then there was a real run up here right before, this looks like around February, right before the halving event. So I think people were speculating about good things happening before halving, bought the coin, drove the price up to its all-time 1 year high of about $60, but it came down pretty quickly, very quickly. And the halving happened, which means farmers made half as much money, half as much profit, and price kept going down after that. it's a double whammy if you're a farmer. The value of the coins you're farming going down rapidly, and you're getting half of them. So anyway, if you take a look at the 6-month view, it looks like not good things happened. We're at an all-time low, and I don't know who's blaming what for that. Just bad market in general. Yeah, Bitcoin is down. It's down to 57,000. But we're looking at the live chart here. This is today, the last year. Okay. All right. That kind of concludes part 2 of what I'm talking about. I have a problem with Chia selling the pre-farm. I do believe that this is affecting the market. I have an opinion that these sales are not insignificant and actually are depressing the price. It's very hard to prove or quantify exactly how badly it's doing that, but just looking at these charts, it's not been doing well. And whenever you introduce more of something to the market, you have to meet the increased demand for it. I don't see any good announcements or reasons why people would be buying more of XCH than they had previously. So more supply, same demand, price decline. More supply, less demand, accelerated price decline. The only thing I can see to reverse this trend is real demand for XCH, and I am not hopeful. With that depressing ending, let's end this clip and start the third and final clip of my farewell video, talking about securities loss. Fun stuff.